According to the National Electrical Code, specifically NEC 2005 Section 422.16b4, a cord and plug connected appliance can be powered from a receptacle under certain conditions. Firstly, the appliance must have an attached cord that is not more than 20 feet in length. Secondly, the appliance's rating should not exceed 12 amps. Thirdly, the appliance should either be designed for mobile use or not permanently fixed in place. Furthermore, NEC 2005 Section 422.16c stipulates that the receptacle must be located within the code length of the appliance it serves. Applying these code provisions to the scenario of a cord-connected GE Spacemaker microwave hood being installed in a dwelling's kitchen with a 125 volts, 15 amps duplex receptacle provided for power, compliance hinges on meeting specific criteria. Firstly, the microwave hood must be cord-connected. Secondly, the cord length cannot exceed 20 feet. Thirdly, the appliance's rating must be 15 amps or less. Fourthly, the receptacle must be situated within the cord's reach. Assuming that the microwave hood meets these conditions, the installation is deemed code compliant. It is important to note that additional considerations apply to ensure a safe and functional installation. Firstly, the receptacle should be easily accessible for servicing and replacement purposes. Secondly, if the microwave hood is positioned above a range, it is crucial to minimize any interference with the range's operation. Thirdly, labeling the receptacle to indicate that it is exclusively for the microwave hood is recommended. Let's delve deeper into the specific sections of the National Electrical Code that govern this type of installation. NEC 2005 Section 422.16 pertains to the installation of appliances. Subsection B addresses specific appliances, and paragraph 4, which is B4, focuses on cord and plug connected appliances. This section outlines the conditions under which it is permissible to power such appliances via a receptacle. These conditions, as previously mentioned, relate to cord length, amperage rating, and the appliance's intended use, whether mobile or fixed. Section 422.16c builds upon the previous section by specifying the required location of the receptacle. The primary concern here is ensuring that the receptacle is conveniently accessible within the reach of the appliance's cord. This provision aims to prevent the use of extension cords, which can introduce safety hazards and are generally discouraged for permanent appliance installations. In the context of the microwave hood installation, it is essential to verify that the appliance's specifications align with the requirements of NEC 2005 Section 422.16b4. Firstly, confirm that the attached cord is indeed 20 feet or less. Secondly, verify that the microwave hood's amperage rating does not exceed 12 amps. While the receptacle is rated at 15 amps, the appliance itself must draw no more than 12 amps to comply with the code. Thirdly, assess whether the microwave hood is designed for mobile use or whether it is intended to be a fixed appliance. If it is intended to be fixed, it must still meet the other requirements for cord and plug connection. It is also crucial to ensure that the receptacle is properly installed and wired in accordance with all applicable electrical codes. This includes using the correct wire gauge, grounding the receptacle appropriately, and providing overcurrent protection via a circuit breaker or fuse. Furthermore, the receptacle should be securely mounted and protected from physical damage. Accessibility is another key consideration. The receptacle should be positioned in a location that allows for easy access for servicing, replacement, and inspection. It should not be obstructed by cabinets, appliances, or other obstructions that would hinder access. If the microwave hood is installed above a range, care should be taken to minimize any potential interference with the range's operation. This may involve positioning the receptacle in a location that is not directly above the range or using a recessed receptacle to provide additional clearance. Labeling the receptacle as being exclusively for the microwave hood can help to prevent confusion and ensure that other appliances are not plugged into the circuit. This can be accomplished by using a label maker or permanent marker to clearly identify the receptacle's intended use. While the National Electrical Code provides a framework for safe electrical installations, it is essential to consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that all applicable codes and regulations are followed. A licensed electrician can assess the specific installation conditions and provide guidance on the best practices for ensuring a safe and code-compliant installation. In summary, the use of a 125 volts, 15-ounce duplex receptacle for cord-connected G-Spacemaker microwave hood in a dwelling's kitchen is code-compliant, provided that the appliance meets the requirements of NEC 2005 Section 422.16b4 and Section 422.16c. This includes having a cord length of 20 feet or less, an amperage rating of 12 amps or less, being designed for mobile use or not being fixed in place, and having the receptacle located within the cord's reach. Additional considerations include ensuring accessibility, minimizing interference with the range's operation, and labeling the receptacle appropriately. Always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that all applicable codes and regulations are followed. Remember that electrical codes are subject to change and may vary depending on the jurisdiction. It is essential to stay up to date with the latest code requirements to ensure compliance. This information is intended for educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional electrical advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician before undertaking any electrical work. Now let's consider some alternative scenarios and potential challenges that might arise during the installation of a cord-connected microwave hood. Firstly, what if the microwave hood's amperage rating exceeds 12 amps? In this case, the installation would not be compliant with NEC 2005 Section 422.16b4. An alternative wiring method would be required, such as hard wiring the appliance directly to a dedicated circuit. This would involve removing the cord and plug and connecting the appliance's wiring directly to the branch circuit wiring using appropriate wiring methods and connectors. Secondly, what if the cord length exceeds 20 feet? Again, this would violate NEC 2005 Section 422.16b4. Shortening the cord is not recommended, as it could void the appliance's warranty and potentially create a safety hazard. The best option would be to relocate the receptacle closer to the appliance so that the cord can reach it without being stretched or strained. Thirdly, what if the receptacle is not readily accessible? This could be due to obstructions or an inconvenient location. In this case, the receptacle should be relocated to a more accessible location. If this is not possible, a disconnecting means such as a switch or circuit breaker should be provided within sight of the appliance. This would allow for easy disconnection of power for servicing or replacement. Fourthly, what if the microwave hood is installed in a location where it is exposed to moisture or other environmental hazards? In this case, a suitable receptacle should be used that is rated for the specific environment. For example, a ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protective receptacle may be required in damp or wet locations. Fifthly, what if the existing wiring is not adequate to support the microwave hood's electrical load? This could be due to undersized wiring or an overloaded circuit. In this case, the wiring should be upgraded to meet the appliance's requirements. This may involve running a new circuit from the electrical panel to the receptacle. Sixthly, what if the microwave hood is being installed in an older home with outdated wiring? In this case, it is essential to have the wiring inspected by a qualified electrician to ensure that it is safe and code compliant. Older wiring may not have adequate grounding or overcurrent protection, which could pose a safety hazard. Seventhly, what if the homeowner wants to install the microwave hood themselves without hiring a qualified electrician? While this may be tempting, it is generally not recommended. Electrical work can be dangerous and should only be performed by qualified individuals who are familiar with electrical codes and safety practices. Improper wiring can lead to electrical shock, fire, and other hazards. Eighthly, what if the local electrical codes differ from the national electrical code? In this case, the local code should be followed. Local codes may be more stringent than the national electrical code and may have additional requirements or restrictions. It is essential to be familiar with the local codes before undertaking any electrical work. Ninthly, what if the microwave hood manufacturer provides specific installation instructions that conflict with the national electrical code? In this case, the more stringent requirements should be followed. The manufacturer's instructions may be more specific than the National Electrical Code and may provide additional safety precautions. 10thly, what if there are any doubts or uncertainties about the proper way to install the microwave hood? In this case, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician. A licensed electrician can provide expert guidance and ensure that the installation is safe and code compliant. The information provided here is intended to be a general overview of the code requirements for installing a cord-connected microwave hood. It is not a substitute for professional electrical advice. Always consult with a qualified electrician before undertaking any electrical work. Now let's talk about the importance of proper grounding. Grounding is a critical safety feature in electrical systems. It provides a low resistance path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip the circuit breaker or fuse and prevent electrical shock. The grounding system consists of the grounding electrode, the grounding electrode conductor, and the equipment grounding conductors. The grounding electrode is typically a metal rod or plate that is buried in the ground. The grounding electrode conductor connects the grounding electrode to the electrical panel. The equipment grounding conductors connect the metal parts of electrical equipment, such as appliances and receptacles, to the grounding system. When a fault occurs, such as a short circuit between a live wire and the metal chassis of an appliance, the fault current flows through the equipment grounding conductor back to the source. This causes the circuit breaker or fuse to trip, de-energizing the circuit and preventing electrical shock. In the case of a cord-connected microwave hood, it is essential to ensure that the receptacle is properly grounded. This means that the receptacle must have a grounding terminal that is connected to the equipment grounding conductor. The equipment grounding conductor must be properly connected to the grounding system. If the receptacle is not properly grounded, there is a risk of electrical shock if a fault occurs. In addition to grounding, it is also important to provide overcurrent protection for the circuit that supplies the microwave hood. Overcurrent protection is typically provided by a circuit breaker or fuse. The circuit breaker or fuse is designed to trip or blow when the current exceeds a certain level. This protects the wiring from overheating and prevents electrical fires. The size of the circuit breaker or fuse should be matched to the ampacity of the wiring. The ampacity is the maximum amount of current that the wiring can safely carry. Overloading a circuit can cause the wiring to overheat and potentially start a fire. In the case of a 125 volts, 15 amps receptacle, the circuit breaker or fuse should be rated at 15 amps. This will protect the wiring from being overloaded. It is also important to use the correct wire gauge for the circuit. The wire gauge is the size of the wire. The larger the wire gauge, the more current it can carry. The wire gauge should be selected based on the ampacity of the circuit. For a 15 amp circuit, a minimum of 14 American wire gauge or AUG copper wire is typically required. However, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician to determine the correct wire gauge for the specific installation. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous and should only be performed by qualified individuals who are familiar with electrical codes and safety practices. Improper wiring can lead to electrical shock, fire, and other hazards. Always consult with a qualified electrician before undertaking any electrical work. This discussion has highlighted the key code requirements and safety considerations for installing a cord-connected microwave hood. By following these guidelines, you can ensure a safe and code-compliant installation.